Welcome to another backyard training video. In this video, we will be replacing the oil pump in the LB161 compressor. The oil pump found on this compressor, down here, is the same one that Blackmer uses on all our current compressor models. It is recommended to check the oil pressure every time you use the compressor. If you are not able to maintain the needed 25 psi of oil pressure, it could be time to replace the oil pump components. The tools needed for replacing the oil pump will be the 3/16 Allen wrench and a torque wrench to torque the Allen bolts to 12 foot-pounds. Here on my table, I have both of them. These are common tools that you should be able to have readily available. Speaking from experience, it is easy to strip the Allen bolts, so proceed with caution and do not over tighten the bolts. I recommend that you replace the following items when servicing the oil pump: the oil filter, seen down here, and also the oil pump kit, which includes the oil pump assembly, the cone, right here, and the spring. I also recommend that you have an extra gasket on hand. During regular oil changes, it is recommended to remove the oil pickup screen and clean it. I recommend that you replace the O-ring sealing the oil pickup screen assembly and any other items that look compromised. You may consider having a spare screen on hand to quicken the replacement procedure. Here is an example of the oil pickup screen assembly.
On to the disassembly procedure. Remove the 4 oil pump cover bolts using your 3/16 Allen wrench. Be careful when removing the oil pump cover since this part will be reused. Now you can remove the oil pump assembly, drive cone, and spring. Clean and inspect the parts for wear or damage. Replace as necessary. Take notice if the drive tab or the stop pin have any damage.
The oil pump we use is an internal gear pump that will operate in either direction of crankshaft rotation. The outer part of the gear pump assembly rotates with the shaft due to the drive tab shown here, aligning with the slot in the shaft. The bidirectional design is made possible due to the groove found on the outer edge of the face of the oil pump and the stop pin on the oil pump cover, shown right here. The oil pump spring and cone are designed to function as an internal relief. As the pressure builds up past the spring force, the cone will disengage from the gear pump assembly.
Now let's assemble the oil pump. I recommend rotating the flywheel until the slot on the shaft is at the 12 o'clock position. Place the spring and the drive cone in the end of the crankshaft. I recommend that you press in the cone into the shaft to confirm that it is seated properly. Note the slot in the end of the crankshaft and the drive tab on the back of the oil pump assembly. Install the oil pump assembly into the bearing carrier with the tab and slot aligned. For my assembly, this is the 12 o'clock position. Next, note the groove around the outer edge of the oil pump assembly and the stop pin in the oil pump cover. Position the oil pump cover with the gasket so that the pin on the oil pump cover will align with the groove around the outer edge of the oil pump. Tighten the oil pump cover bolts by hand while the pump cover is held in position. If you find that there is resistance tightening the bolts, there is a chance that the drive tab or the stop pin are improperly aligned. Take the unit apart again and verify that the drive tab and stop pin are aligned during the assembly. Once the oil pump cover is flush up against the bearing carrier, the bolts may be evenly torqued to 12 foot-pounds. I remove the oil filter so that my torque wrench socket could reach the Allen bolts.
I recommend inspecting the oil pressure adjustment assembly. Typically, these items do not need to be replaced. Found in the assembly is the adjustment screw with the O-ring, the lock nut, spring, and ball. Here are those components. I'm threading off the adjustment screw. The spring and the O-ring, inspecting to see if they're in good condition. Here's the ball. And then to assemble, reverse order. I recommend setting the oil pressure adjustment screw further in clockwise for the first startup and then backing it off until you reach the 25 psi pressure. This concludes the oil pump replacement procedure for our Blackmer compressors. Thank you for watching. If you have any questions, please refer to your installation operating manual.
PSG, where innovation flows.